Yes. None of those things are our job. And the last president did us in, trying to be the George Washington of the universe. In the last generation, we had a couple of other presidents thinking they could civilize the universe, and we are paying the price. We're still paying the price for Woodrow Wilson, for Pete's sake.
That's right. And the Republicans ran against Clinton as having a more modest foreign policy, no nation building, no police in the world. And look what they turned around and did. Actually,
Clinton has a better record, if you were measuring it in some fashion, fiscally and foreign policy, than did George Bush.
Well,
he was more conservative.
That's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow.
It is, but now we're Tony Blankley, who was a very smart guy, very glib fellow, and a very apt politician, does not have a thorough grasp of his own history, the history of the government. He has the Constitution rather, he has way too much deference to the Supreme Court and the Supreme Court's aberrant non-constitutional decisions. And the other part of it is, well, this hasn't been judged by the Supreme Court. And my point is, so what?
Yeah,
I can read
denying people wearing robes,
and I can read the Constitution as well as those guys can. And when it's explicit, I don't need them.
I think you're reading the Constitution much better.
Well, this is why all of us need to be constitutionally literate and have to be historically literate, because if we're not, we can easily be hustled by even well-meaning politicians who maybe have noble goals but illegal means.
Well, then they say they're doing this, for the benefit of America, but we don't need a draft. If a genuine threat to our homeland were ever to happen, the government won't need a draft, for two reasons. First, we have a strong and capable volunteer military, though the government would have to get our troops home to defend America, which is really what our troops signed up for, by the way, not nation building. And second, Americans like you and me, Jan, will stand together and fight if necessary like no other people on the planet.
Yes, in defense.
Right. But even if you're a fan of all of this overseas adventure, how are you going to pay for it? We're broke, Tony.
Well, that's why we have to compel people into service. That's exactly the argument. Since we can't pay for it, we're going to require you to volunteer.
Well, required volunteering is the antithesis of freedom.
And it can only required militia service, and he's right about that. And even on the books here in the Constitution of Iowa, anybody who is able-bodied between the ages of 18 and 45 is in the Iowa militia. It is within the Iowa constitutional authority of the governor to call everybody up in that age group to compel service.
How old are you, Dan?
Sorry, I've been done there. You can do all the heavy lifting in my part, but see, we've converted the militia status to the National Guard.
Right.
And I'm not sure entirely. You can do that by statute, but if it ever got to the point here in Iowa, as you just implied, that the conditions were so bad that calling up the Iowa militia were necessary, I don't think, especially here in Iowa, the service would have to be compelled at all. In fact, me being older than 45 would not be an impediment. I would be there.
Of course not. You and I'd be there together.
All right. Hey, thank you very much, Dave.
Thanks,
appreciate
Dan.
your call.
Bye-bye.